Hello and welcome back. Today we're talking all about journaling in a journal as a little bit of a different way to get your story down on paper without so much worrying about every single word. I wanted to just show you three journal examples. This is one that I've used. This is the one that I took on our trip, and it's all full of notes. It also has a pocket at the back to hold random little bits and pieces. So there's some train tickets and like single dollar notes that I didn't spend but weren't worth transferring back to another currency. And this is an example of a book that would be really hard wearing and you could just take with you either on a big trip, or just you could use the same one for ages in normal everyday life. And the idea is that you would just write down a few different things each day, or however often you want to write, so that when you get back to your photos, you remember a little bit more, because it's really, really easy for us to say, I'm totally going to remember this is amazing, and it's happening so, it's right in front of my eyes. And the truth is that once we get to the photos, it's quite often that we don't remember all the details. When I use a bigger notebook like this, I don't worry about editing it as I go. I just use it as a place to dump information, to dump thoughts and feelings. And some days I will write just what our itinerary was. It'll be very matter of fact. And other days I have some sort of emotional outpouring that needs to happen on paper. And it all gets mixed in here together. It's just dated by a page. Simple, simple, simple. But I don't worry about what this writing is going to look like to an outside audience, because I don't share it with an outside audience, and I don't keep this actual book inside my scrapbook. I use this then as a reference guide when I go from one page to the next, and when I want to add the journaling, I cross-reference here and see if there's anything I want to pick up, or it might be sometimes I don't know what the place was in the photo, and my book can help me figure that out. These two notebooks are examples of the size that I would keep just in the entire album. I would just take the whole thing and put it in. So something like this is small enough that you can put it right inside a divided page protector, so it's only going to be opened if you make it obvious that it's a book and invite people to take it out and read it. And it's still, even then, if you make it obvious, it's only going to be read by people who are making the effort to read it, rather than somebody who's just flipping through, if that is any concern to you. And this one is a little bit bigger, and this one I think is probably verging on too thick to go into a divided page protector, but you could custom make a pocket for it using a sewing machine or something like the Fuse tool, where you could put more plastic on the top just by putting it there and making the pocket around, rather than using a standard size pocket. Or you can do a binding where you just take a ribbon or an elastic and open the book halfway, put it through there, and then you're going to wrap that around your page, so that then it's inside a giant page protector, inside the 12 by 12. So if it were on my 12 by 12 page, I could keep it right over to the side like this. I could put it anywhere really, and I would just take a loop of ribbon that goes all the way around my page. It's going to be just bigger than 24 inches so that I have enough room to tie it, and then I'd slide that over, and then if I want it to be up on the page, if I just want to use no adhesive, it's naturally going to fall to the bottom of the page protector, so I would design the page like that. If I wanted it to be in the middle, I need if I wanted to be in the middle and not have adhesive on the book itself, I would need something along this bottom line that has a big strip of foam tape, or lots of foam squares, so that it wouldn't fall down when the album was standing up. These two are both by Moleskine. This is just the standard one you can get in the store, but it comes in all different sizes and different ways to line the pages or have them blank. And this is one where different companies or artists can buy them and customize them and sell them on, so that one has some album artwork, and I picked it up at a concert. Okay, and then this one, the small one, it comes in a set of 3, and it's an Amy Tangerine American Crafts one, and these are nice, and I mean there's plenty of room for some considerable writing in there, but it's still small enough that it's going to fit into a standard divided page protector nice and easily. Okay, so I'm going to now take you through a layout with a page kit and a sketch, and I'm going to adapt this this sketch, which doesn't have any space allocated on the sketch itself for journaling. It might be this spot, but I'm going to fill all of this background with journaling. It's an LA Studio sketch, and it is on that sketch Pinterest board if you would like to have a printable version for yourself. In my page kit, I have one great big 5x7 photo, and then a bunch of other pieces, including some really old Making Memories papers, and some scraps. I have both my globe and my camera. I think I'm going to use this globe and that camera, but I do have some other cameras in here in case that doesn't work out. See if I can just pop these bits over to the side that I'm going to use this embellishment. And this is an old transparency, but I thought the triangles here could be a really cute twist on. I'll take this pattern and cut it into the triangles and attach it to the page so that it will just be something different than putting a whole block of this transparency. I've kept this in my stash for ages because I really, really like the print. I mean, when I say ages, it's a 2009 paper. I really like the print, but I haven't found a way to use it that I felt kind of made it worthwhile. But I think this is it. So I've got my craft cardstock. I'm going to use a ledger paper for the background, and I'm just going to take a little bit off that so the craft shows on the edge, but I mostly get ledger paper to write on my background. Then my photo over toward the left. I'm going to have these 3 arrows be that chevron strip that's just under the photo. And then to cut this into some triangles to make it fit over here, I'm just going to cut down to how much I want it to take up, rather than cut right into the middle of the transparency. So I'm thinking I want all my triangles to come from right about this space. I think you could definitely do this with a ruler and a trimmer and get a nice precise version with all the angles on the triangles exactly the same. But I thought because I have more of the transparency and if this goes wrong, I can just try again. But I kind of liked the idea of cutting it by hand and making those angles not be exactly perfect. Let's see how it goes. I'm just following the sketch exactly to make these triangles. So now I'm going to go to this top row . I was given this sample of Maxi Power Tape from Tombow. and told that it's very clear. Yeah, it is very clear. So I thought I would try it first with the bit that's going to go under the photo. Okay, it shows on transparency a bit, but not as much as most adhesives. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use this adhesive and just not panic if a little bit of it shows. Other options, of course, for adhering clear stuff like transparencies, you can use other means of attachment than glue, so it could be brads or stitches or staples, or you can put stuff over the glue to hide it. Okay, I need less adhesive than what I just put on that one. And yeah, anything that attaches without without glue, basically. Sorry. Anything that attaches without glue works well for transparencies. But in this sketch I have these little dots, and I did think I could adhere most of the triangles there and then put the little dots over the top, so I might still end up doing that. This one here. Okay, so first impressions on this adhesive is that it does feel quite strong without a lot of glue on there, so I do feel like those little bits are going to hold it. If I find out otherwise, I will let you know. Okay, so there's my little mix of triangles like the sketch. Then there's this circle on the sketch here, and I'm going to use that as the placement for my globe. And I wanted to stamp that on, I had a couple options here. I thought I could stamp it on a bit of pattern paper, or I could stamp it on a craft. I'm just looking, I think it will fit on this little ticket here. So that seems like a good choice. I'm going to use that same brown ink that I used yesterday. So one thing I look at in sketches is that if there is a basic shape like that circle, it doesn't mean that it needs to be a circle in my design. It can be something that incorporates a circle, like a globe, but it could also be the center of a camera. And to be honest, many times with sketches, the shape, it doesn't necessarily need to be a circle. It might just be that that was the easiest thing to draw in the sketch to give you the idea of something needs to go here, and maybe it's not a rectangle like all the other elements. So you could replace the circle with other shapes too. Okay. And then cut this out with my scissors, just roughly. I'm not concerned about it being a perfect cut, but rather it just be nice and rounded shape. There we go. So that's going to go there. It is a little bit small next to this photo, where I've used a bigger photo than is in the original sketch. So I thought I would add some layers behind. That I could start with a circle of craft. Oh, and abandon that idea because The pattern paper that I've chosen is too close to the color of the craft, so there's not enough contrast there. But I also thought some vellum would work well, so I've got a scrap of white vellum with gold stars. Oh, I could have used that new adhesive, but I was just using what was to hand because I knew I was going to cover that up. That's going to need some other stuff in there with it, but maybe that. Okay. Let's go ahead and put that wood veneer in there, even though that's not in the sketch at all. I like how that works. And I needed my camera. So this paper had this little box with the camera up here, and it also has this little Polaroid receipt, like when you used to pick up your prints, and it would have the little stamp on the corner of the envelope, and it's the same color as the trim on the on this block with the camera, so I thought both of them might turn out to be useful. Now originally I thought I would put all of this in here together, but I'm not sure how I could do that without covering up so much. If I cut it down, I'm going to lose, so maybe it's going to go somewhere else. Okay, maybe I'll hold off on that for just a second, but I have it ready, so I have my cameras there, and I could see what one of these little cameras would look like. Which one would be particularly useful? I like this little aqua, because there's more aqua already in this design and not gray. That's the other color in this pattern paper. That could work. Okay. Okay. Then, on my sketch, I just have those few little dots around the triangles and a title here. And that's everything that's on the sketch. And I'm going to use this background space for my journaling. So time for me to get any lettering in here that I want and those dots, and then fill the rest with words. Got my enamel dots, just looking at the placement from the sketch. I'm going to go pretty close to what's in the sketch, but a little bit different, just to maximize what I can cover from the adhesive. I've got 3 there. Okay, so that's everything that's on the sketch. Now on the layout, I didn't end up putting these camera pieces on at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and add my journaling and then see if I want to come back and add any more enamel dots, more pieces like those die cuts, or anything like that. I am going to be using a pen in my journal, and I have an entry that I'm largely going to copy out, but when I copy it out I will make a few changes just to make it a slightly improved version of what I wrote on the road that would have been quite rough and written when I was really tired. And then I'm just going to fill the page with all that writing. So it is a pretty, this kind of design has room for a lot of writing, and that may or may not be your thing, but it's useful to have that information every once in a while. And remember, if there was something that that you wanted to include that wasn't necessarily your own writing, sometimes these kinds of designs can be useful if you wanted to copy out things like a news story but you didn't just want to use the news clipping, or any other sort of document that came from somebody else that you wanted included. Okay, so I'm going to get writing on this background. So it looks a lot less bare with all the writing in place. I am going to add a few more enamel dots, I think, but I'm not going to add these two pieces that I originally thought I would. I think I'll just keep them for somewhere else. The biggest thing I changed in the writing from my journal to the page was the tense. In the journal it was written in present tense, and that felt a little strange to transpose to here. So I popped it into past tense, and it just seemed to make more sense to me. So I'm just going to add a couple more dots to just make it feel a little bit more dressy to my eye, and then I'm going to call it finished. I wondered about adding some down here as well. Yeah, just going to add this little strip in a row. So that's my journal to scrapbook page all finished. If you'd like to have a look at a different style of the scrapbooking part, but still that idea of lots of writing on the background, I've linked up a post from Kirsty Smith in the blog archives that takes you through a tutorial of how she does it with a white layout, white paper in the background. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again tomorrow as we talk about some different journaling techniques that don't have to be quite so big, overwhelming, long. Yeah, we'll talk about some journaling that's a little bit shorter, simpler, more to the point. See you then.